And whenever you speak to anybody from Calcutta, West Bengal, you'll see them having a flair of that Bengali accent, which never leaves them. And I think that is spectacular for me because my mom, living in Bombay, has not been able to leave her roots like away. You know, she's still very connected to her roots. And whatever impression I had of my mom growing up, the way she is, Bengali tigress, the way she has fed us with her hands, you know, the way she used to talk to us, the way she has given us love. I think it was, when I read the character of Mrs. Chatterjee, for me it was all along like my mother. Like I was imagining my mother, what would happen if somebody would have taken Raja and me away from her. And I could imagine my mom going completely nuts.
You know, it takes me back to the moment when I saw the film and I was so shaken and moved and triumphant, of course, in the end. I have an adat, you know, I have twins at home and I'm a single parent. I say, you know, whenever my children are looking very pretty, I say kala tika laga do.
Yes.
My daughter has a habit sometimes that she doesn't eat and I have to make her physically eat with my hands. Yeah. We say Saturday ko nazar utaro. It's embedded in our culture. And when I saw the film and I reached home, and Yash and Ruhi was standing there, and I just had tears in my eyes looking at them because I'd just seen Mrs. Chatterjee versus Norway, and I went like, what if one day somebody just comes और मेरे बच्चे को घर से ले जाए? क्योंकि हमारी tradition, हमारी inherent culture, हमारी parenting instinct जो है, उनकी वजह से कोई अगर हमारे बच्चों को ले जाए, and it takes me to my favorite. I think this is your best performance to date. I have to say it on record. It is your best performance to date. And I hope the world notices what I have. And I'm sure the world will on the 17th of March. That moment when it's decided in court कि आप तभी मिल पाओगे अपने बच्चों जब वो 18 साल के हो जाए. The way you react in that moment, it's like it took me back to a moment of YRF film called Mashal, where Dilip Kumar bangs on the taxi and says, you know, like stop, he needs a car because of his wife who's dying. That time, that scene had given me gooseflesh. And the second time, in my cinematic memory, where I got gooseflesh, is when I saw your reaction, where literally you were sliding, your feet were sliding on the floor while they're trying to hold you back. What was the prep, or did you just go with your gut in that moment, taking and internalizing the circumstance?
I think for me, Mrs. Chatterjee versus Norway is a very, very personal film in that sense, because I think every parent, every mother, every father, every person who has a mother will connect with this story like it hits you in your gut. Like for me to bring about Sagarika's emotions in the film, what she must have been through, was a huge responsibility. That I wanted to portray the pain that this mother is feeling. I wanted everybody in the audience to feel that pain, to feel that sense of loss. Because if I as a mother had to put myself in that place, I don't think I had the courage to even think that. Like if I had to put myself in that place of Sagarika, I don't think I can even fathom that idea of like Adira being away from me. Like I can't fathom it. So I had to put my mother in my place, like I had to think of my mom, how she would behave if somebody took me and Raja away. Because I didn't have the courage to think about Adira. Yeah. Honestly speaking, it was beyond for me to even go through that pain. Because it is a pain which is numbing, like a mother can literally have a heart attack and die. Yeah. It's that kind of a pain for a parent. So for me, every scene in the film was, I think, how do I put it? It's not a scene that I've performed. I think I've lived those scenes. You know, I've lived those shots.
It's very evident.
Yeah,
in that particular scene when they're dragging you and you're literally sliding your feet on the floor because you don't want to move from there. I just felt that at some point, every actor goes through that feeling on a certain moment of a film where you stop acting and you start living that moment.
So for me, it was.
And I thought that's what you did throughout. You lived Mrs. Chatterjee. In fact, to the extent that it may have taken you a while to get that character out of your system, am I right? Or did you switch off?
No, I think I've still not switched off from the film. Yeah. Because I think each time I hear people talk about the film, or if I see the promo of the film, or if I watch the film, for me it's always Sagarika in my head. And it's about all the mothers or parents who are separated from their children for whatever reason. And that makes me really sad. And I feel the representation of this film, or the reason why this film is actually made, is because there has to be a bigger purpose for it, more than even a box office success. The purpose of this film is bigger than a box office success because it needs to create awareness.
Yeah.
It needs to create awareness amongst people who don't know about these cases, who don't know about these stories which are happening day in and day out outside our country. There are numerous parents who are suffering this, whether Indian, whether of other nationalities, but they are suffering this. And for me, I just hope that this film can bring about a certain awareness with the right people who have the right power to be able to do something about it.
Which brings me to you, Nikhil. When you announced this film, based on the true story of Sagarika Chakrabarti, maybe it was a footnote in history, but the authorities who need to know knew the story. Did you get any kind of, was there any backlash? Is there any kind of backlash from Norway? Has there been any kind of people reaching out and saying, why are you telling this story? Because it does portray that aspect of the country in a negative light. So did you at all receive any kind of backlash from anyone?
No, nothing. In fact, we
so
decided...
any plans for Norway?
Yeah, so in fact we decided to shoot, we actually preempted, or we assumed, Karan, we assumed that Norway will not want us to shoot in this film over there.
Yes.
So it was lockdown, it was pandemic, the pandemic was just getting over, lockdown was just getting over. We were supposed to shoot in March, it kept moving on till August, I remember, and we finally went and shot it in Estonia. When we were going to shoot in Estonia, everything is set. We got a letter from the Norwegian High Commission saying that because that was the first communication that came, saying that, Norway Mrs. Chatterjee versus Norway, we are going to Estonia to shoot Rani Mukherjee's first film outside Yashraj. That usual kind of press note came out, and the Norwegian High Commission calls us up and says that why are you not shooting in Norway?
Wow.
Right? Because we are completely, we have freedom of expression. And you should come over.
My second shock moment of this interview. One is you never met Sagarika, and one is that Norway themselves has reached out, where the title very explicitly says Mrs. Chatterjee versus Norway. Well, great. I mean, I think, as I said, this film is much more than just an emotional, beautiful, cinematic experience. It's also an emotion and a movement in many ways. But more than anything else, I'd like the audiences to know this, and everyone, members of the media, to know कि इस पिक्चर की जो खासियत है वो है कनेक्टिविटी। वो आप इस फिल्म से जो भी चाहो, आप जो भी हो, आप माता हो, पिता हो, भाई हो, बहन हो, जो भी हो, कोई तो रिश्ता आपका होगा, वो आप इमीडिएटली इस फिल्म से रिलेट कर पाओगे, क्योंकि ऐसा लगता है कि कोई आपका अपना आपसे छीन के जब चला जाता है, for no reason, no fault, there's nothing worse than that. So I just feel like ये वो फीचर फिल्म है जो डीपली कनेक्ट करेगा to every member of an audience. Everywhere, every single place. Now, before I come to a surprise that we have for you, Rani, I wanted to know.
I hope it's a surprise and not a shock.